Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to Healthy Bodies Talk with Christopher Sasha. I'm Christopher Sasha. I'm a functional health strategist. I'll be your host. I'm sitting here with Jovi at the end. She's going to be translating for Lupe. Lupe is my main guest here today. So I do have to give a disclosure here because this is medical. So here it goes. Healthy Bodies Talk. The content on this is going to be for information and entertainment only. Do not use this as being a substitute for professional medical attention, diagnosis, and or treatment. Cool? Cool. Now, there's a lot of misinformation about type 2 diabetes out there on the market, and a lot of it's coming from our healthcare system. And our healthcare system are the individuals and the organizations that we are supposed to be trusting with our health, like our doctors, diabetic educators, nutritionists, dietitians, the CDC, the American Diabetes Association. They're not telling us the truth about type 2 diabetes. And that's what we're going to be discussing here, is the truth about curing type 2 diabetes. This is a $446 billion industry in 2019 alone. In 2019, diabetes cost Americans $446 billion. In 2017, just 2 years prior, it cost $237 billion. So it keeps going up and up. This is 4 years later, so it's well over $500 billion that type 2 diabetes is bringing into the healthcare system. And the healthcare system doesn't want the truth to get out because they want to protect that $446 billion cash cow. All the while, type 2 diabetics in America are getting sicker and sicker. The way that our healthcare system treats type 2 diabetes is in a way where it feeds the medications, so there's no hope of ever getting off your medications. It's like being in a sinking boat where there's a hole in the bottom. Our healthcare system, what they do is they get a bucket and they try to get the water out of the boat while the boat is sinking. What we do is we actually plug the hole in the boat and then we get the water out. So Lupe is one of my first clients that got off all her medications and diabetes. And I would tell her at the beginning, imagine a life without medications. Imagine a life without having to prick your fingers consistently trying to figure out where your blood sugar levels are. Imagine a life without having to worry about the many other diseases and medications and surgeries that come along with the complications of type 2 diabetes, like amputations, blindness, dialysis. These are the things that Lupe doesn't have to worry about anymore because she tried a different method. She went outside of the perimeters of our healthcare system and she found a different world. You don't know what you don't know. And Lupe found out how to do this. And I'm thankful that she's here to tell her story. So without further ado, this is Lupe, and Jovi is going to be translating whatever Lupe can't say in English.
It's a little bit.
So Lupe, when I first met her, she was not happy at all. She was in pain. She was sick. She was on a lot of medications. She had frequent seizures. She was in a revolving door with emergency rooms throughout the Chicagoland area. And she was on the cusp of having to have blood transfusions. And now she's off all her medications and she's no longer diabetic. And we're going to go through kind of the process of how that all happens. So the rest of the time, I want to talk to Lupe and find out kind of what your lifestyle was before you were becoming a diabetic, kind of foods you came from. The Hispanic culture is very prone. There's a lot of diabetes in the Hispanic culture because of the foods that they eat and the lifestyles they have. So I'm going to hear a little bit about that. And then I want to go into the day that you were diagnosed, what you were thinking about, how you felt, and then the preceding 25 years of being treated by our healthcare system for diabetes and never getting off the medications. And in fact, just the worse, getting more and more medications and getting sicker and sicker with the way that they treat diabetes here in America. And then I want to go over the day that we met and you applying the strategies and ideologies I asked you to do and where we are today. Cool? Go. Okay. So let's go over this kind of chronologically. So tell me a little bit about how your life was before you were a diabetic and at what age?
For today, this good morning. For you looking for a long time. And me, 5 or 6 years ago, for you looking for first time. And me, this, ¿cómo se dice triste? Sad. My this different for me, my diabetes, alta pressure, cholesterol, attacks. For now, there's nothing. I check my doctor for routine. Check the doctor for 3 or 4 months and check on me. And check in April 21. My doctor is and me is really, really happy for nothing. Only I checking for me coloscopia. That's okay. And endoscopia. There's nothing.
Colonoscopy. Okay, so everything's
there's
good.
Nothing.
Okay.
For me, that's really, really happy. Thank you for Christopher. ¿Cómo se dice encontrar en mi vida?
That you found in her life.
Cuando él apareció en mi vida.
Because you came into her life.
You have to get back in.
So she's saying that that she's grateful that you came into her life. ¿Y más?
En mi persona, this now different. She's heavy in the Christopher. This high for 280. Now 150 pounds.
So you went from 280 pounds down to 150. Let's go back to before you were a diabetic. Where were you living? Were you living here in the United States or in Mexico?
Yeah.
You were here in the United States. And your culture, I know, is food is very important, and you guys are very close to food, which because it's part of your culture. There's a lot of refined beans, there's a lot of tortillas, a lot of carbohydrates. So kind of talk about what kind of foods you were eating. Were you eating often? Did you exercise at all? And did you do anything? Did you, your lifestyle, kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, there's now is...
No, pero antes.
Antes, no. Later, this is everything. Tortilla, rice, Mexican food. Now, my change, now, there's different.
Yeah, but I want to stay back then. We're going to get to the now later, but let's talk about the past first. Let's get to what caused the problem in the first place.
Vamos a hablar del pasado ahorita.
Okay.
Del cómo te pusiste de diabética.
Oh, for heavy más this diabetes, alta presión, cholesterol, attacks.
Yeah, I'm going to translate a little bit.
Yeah, I want to go back to, instead of getting right into the diabetes right away, I want to get into how life was a little bit before that.
So, ¿cómo era tu vida antes? En el principio, cuando empezaste con el diabetes. ¿Qué comías antes?
De todo, there's everything.
So she would eat everything. In the Mexican culture, she would have the tortillas, the rice, the beans. ¿Y qué más, Lupe?
Hamburgers,
Hamburgers.
pizza,
Mhm.
just eat everything.
So were you eating late at night also, right before you went to bed?
¿Comías antes en la noche?
Yeah, 3 or 4 times.
So you would eat 3 or
All
4
day.
times per day?
Yeah.
Okay. And then were you doing any kind of exercising? Were you doing any kind of physical, manual labor, working in a factory? What were you doing for work?
¿Qué estabas haciendo de trabajo?
Nothing.
So what were you do throughout the day?
¿Qué hacías durante el día? De
Solo
trabajo.
comer y dormir. The sleeping.
She would sleep and eat.
Sleep and eat.
Yeah.
And that was your day. And
Yeah.
how long did that last still? About what age?
¿Hasta qué años?
Hasta que lo conocí a él.
Until she met you. That's when she started changing.
But you, no, I don't want to talk about the change
Okay.
yet. Did you ever have a job before? Did you not work ever?
She would take care of kids. So she was like a babysitter,
Okay.
and she would take care of the household.
So you would do some kind of manual labor because you had to lift up the kids and you had to do some cleaning around the house.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
had some kind of physical movement.
Mhm.
But when you weren't with the kids, you weren't at the job, you were sitting watching TV.
Yeah, only watching TV and playing for the children. Eat the lot all day.
Well, yeah, people in the office now that I'm at, they'll walk by the secretary's desk and they'll grab like a handful of M&Ms. And, after the entire day, after weeks, months of doing that, yeah, you're going to gain some weight just from those handful of M&Ms. So you don't really, a lot of people don't, they're unconsciously eating. They don't realize they're putting something in their mouth all the time, whether it be Tic Tacs. I had one client that would eat an entire box of Tic Tacs every day because she was a lawyer, so she wanted to have fresh breath when she was with the other attorneys and speaking. So she gained actually a couple pounds from Tic Tacs alone, and we got those out of her diet, and she lost just like 3 or 4 pounds just from taking out the Tic Tacs. So just those little things all add up. So, okay, let's go to at what age were you diagnosed with diabetes?
¿Qué era la edad que te diagnosticaron con la diabetes?
And 25.
35.
Yeah, 35.
You were 35 years old when you were diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, kind of go back to that day and kind of remember what the doctor said and how you felt when you were diagnosed. Was it a surprise that you were diagnosed with diabetes and you never knew about it because it was never brought up to you?
Yeah, I look at my doctor. I talked to me, and me and diabetes. It's a lot of quiet,
There's a lot of what?
and there's
¿Qué?
que me sorprendí, me agarré llorando.
That she started crying when she was told that she was diabetic.
Because you didn't know anything before, so you're kind of shocked.
Que
Correct.
yo iba a durar de 3 a 4 años. Cuando yo me podía morir, podía dializarme.
So they told her that she would only last maybe 3 to 4 years because they could also start doing dialysis on her. So she was a little astonished with that.
And they explained what dialysis was and everything. And that was way back. What year was this?
¿Cuál año fue eso que te dijeron eso? ¿A los 35 o fue apenas?
No, a los 35 años.
When she was 35, they told her that.
So in 1998, when was that? What year? When was she 35? Oh, we got to break out the calculator.
I remember. It was a long time ago, Chris.
Yeah, that's
That was 25 years ago,
yeah, 25 years.
So it was 1998, right?
1998.
Yeah. So you were diagnosed in 1998. What was going through your head? Because some people that I know, they start thinking they actually have suicidal thoughts. they get so depressed. And you mentioned that you were on antidepressant medications earlier. So I know that that plays a factor into this. So what other things were going through your head when you heard that you were diabetic and you would have 3 years? Now, is that 3 years of living or 3 years of being on medications? What was 3 years?
¿Qué eran los 3 años? ¿De vivir o de medicamento? ¿Cuándo te dijeron a los 35 años?
Yo no quería, mi vida fue una tristeza, nada de, yo no quería saber nada, no quería vivir ya, no quería nada. Me sentía muy mal, aparte de que estaba muy pasada de peso y con mis enfermedades que tenía, como 4 o 5 enfermedades, y pues quise entrar en depresión, incluso fui a dar al hospital por depresión.
So she was diagnosed, and she said that she started getting very depressed in regards to that. So she became very depressed, and she was really sad in the fact that she had diabetes. She had like 3 or 4 other diagnoses of health issues in her body. So it caused her with a lot of depression, and they put her in the hospital for that as well.
And with the depression, did that lead to a lot of overeating? Because carbohydrates produce serotonin, which makes you feel better. So a lot of people, when they're sad, depressants eat a lot of carbohydrates. Did you start eating even more after you were diagnosed?
Estabas comiendo más cuando te da.
Yeah.
So you're actually getting worse with that.
Incluso hasta un pie me iban a cortar.
¿Cuándo?
Cuando tenía como unos 5 o 6 años con el diabetes.
So after being diagnosed with the diabetes, about 5 years later, she said that they were going to try to amputate her leg, but I guess they didn't. Oh, because they didn't.
Okay. So, okay. What was the first medication that you were put on?
¿Cuál fue la primer medicamento?
Yo empecé I taken for the medication for metformin.
Metformin?
Yeah, for 25 years, and later insulin. Yeah, I taken for medication for cholesterol, alta presión, de alta presión, colesterol, eso. Y yeah, just taking for the pills for the diabetes.
Now, the seizures, I remember you only had one after I met you. The seizures were due to the medications. What were the seizures? Why were you having the seizures?
Yeah, I taken for the pills.
No, why were you having the seizures? Was it from the medications? What was it from? What was causing the seizures?
¿Qué estaba causando los ataques?
Por mi depresión.
No, pero ¿por qué estabas agarrando los ataques en tu cuerpo? ¿Fue por el medicamento?
No, eso fue antes.
¿Que tenías los ataques?
Ajá.
¿Antes que del diabetes?
Antes del diabetes.
So before she was diagnosed or became a diabetic, she would have seizures throughout her life.
Oh, so she had them before.
She had them before.
Being diagnosed as being diabetic.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then kind of like go through sporadically throughout the time. Every time you went to, how often did you go to the doctor once you were diagnosed with the diabetes to check on your A1C, your blood sugar levels, weight, and all of that stuff? How often would you go to your doctors to see if you were progressing or regressing with diabetes?
¿Cuántas veces ibas al doctor cuando te
Oh, cada 2 semanas. 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Yes. Every 2 weeks for a long time.
How many years?
Later
¿Cuántos años?
Con,
¿No era cada 3 meses o era,
no.
¿Era cada 2 semanas?
Sí.
So
Porque
yeah, it was every
my
2
sugar
weeks.
is
So it was every 2 weeks that she would go to the doctors.
And for how many years was that?
¿Por cuántos años, Lupe?
for 8.
8 years?
Yeah.
And it was right from the point that you were diagnosed up for 8 years, you were going to a doctor or doctors for 2 years, every 2 weeks, and your diabetes kept getting worse and worse. Is that what happened?
Por ese tiempo que estabas yendo al doctor cada 2 semanas, ¿tu diabetes estaba progresando o se estaba haciendo peor?
Peor.
So her diabetes would get worse even after those every 2 weeks that she would see the doctors.
Did they give you any advice about food, what to eat?
Te estaban diciendo cómo comieras bien.
Yeah, pero yo no hacía caso.
Pero ¿cuánto te daban o qué te dijeran para comer?
I recommend them for exercise, walking, lo cual yo no hacía nada de lo que el doctor me decía.
So she wouldn't do what the doctors were telling her to do, exercise. So I think that's why she would get worse with her diabetes.
Did you have a diabetic educator or a nutritionist or a dietitian helping you with your diet?
¿Tenías a alguien que te estaba ayudando con tu nutrición?
Ella en the hospital.
In the hospital?
Yeah.
So what were they telling you to eat?
¿Qué te decían que comieras?
Oh,
¿Cada 2 horas?
yeah. Eat food.
Every 2 hours.
They were telling you to eat every 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Did they tell you what kind of food to eat?
¿Te decían qué clase de comidas comer?
I know, but for me, for Mexican, and this oh no, my food is good. The nutrióloga, there's not liking food. Well, for veggies, turkey, fish.
Wait, this is what the doctors were telling you to eat? Or this is what you're eating now? I want to go back to what the doctors were telling you.
¿Qué te estaban diciendo el doctor antes que comieras?
Eso, me decía eso, que hiciera ejercicio, caminara.
Pero te decían que comieras pan, ¿no?
Ya, que comiera saludable, o sea, vegetales, pescado, pollo. Y yo...
¿Y pan también?
Oh, claro.
¿Y arroz?
Yeah, claro. Eat rice, bread.
Mm-hmm.
There's everything. There's everything.
The doctors told you can eat whatever you want? Is that what you're telling me?
¿Que podías comer cualquier cosa? ¿Te decían?
No. Mm-mm.
So the doctors would tell her to have, like a healthy eating with her vegetables, but also including carbs, which would be the rice, the beans, also the bread. So
they were encouraging her to eat the very things that were causing the diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then you were saying that they were telling you to eat every 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
it's 2 hours and eat everything.
So they were saying that you can eat anything you want as long as you're on the medications. Is that what they were saying?
So que podías comer cualquier cosa que tú querías y también tomar tu medicamento. ¿Es lo que te decían los doctores?
Que tenía que comer saludable y tomar I take for the pills, y for eat the vegetales.
Mm-hmm. Vegetables.
Yeah. No eat rice, no eat bread, no eat potatoes. No, nothing.
Are you going back to what you're eating now?
Estás viendo
I want to stay with what the doctors were
Pero-
telling you.
lo que los doctores estaban diciendo, porque los doctores te dicen que
Yo no
comieras.
hacía lo que los doctores me decían. Yo me caí en depresión cuando me iban a cortar mi pie y yo decía, si me voy a morir, yo no tengo que dejar de comer. Yo voy a comer.
So what she was saying is that when she got into that depression, that she was going to eat whatever she wanted, basically. And so if she was going to die, she was going to eat whatever she wanted, in other words. So she was still like eating whatever she wanted, actually. So that's what caused all of, I guess the depression's what caused more of the diabetes and more of her health issues.
Because you were depressed.
Because she was depressed. Because she said, she's like, well, if I'm going to die, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. Because I'm going to eat the foods that I wanted, basically.
And this is all revolving because the doctors told you at the very beginning when you were diagnosed that you only have 3 years.
Correct.
So they told you only have 3 years of life.
¿Te estaban diciendo que nomás tenías 3 años para vivir?
Sí.
Yes.
They said that you would be on medications the rest of your life also?
¿Estaban diciendo que ibas a estar en medicamentos por el resto de tu vida?
Yeah.
Sí.
Que yo ya no me iba a aliviar para... Yo con eso que me iban a cortar mi pie y que ya el diabetes lo iba a tener de por vida. Todas mis enfermedades que yo tenía, colesterol, alta presión, todo eso me estaba causando depresión. Y pues yo lo que hacía era comer y comer y comer. Y yo lo que estaba subiendo era demasiado de peso. Y ellos me regañaban porque el doctor, my doctor, just no, please, no eat the food, carbohydrates. No eat, no more. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
So she said that she was told that she was going to have the diabetes for life. So that's what caused her to get into a deep depression and that she was going to continue eating the way she wanted.
And did you have different doctors? I would assume you had different doctors throughout the 25 years of having diabetes, and no doctor ever said that, hey, let's try to get you to lose weight. Let's try to get you out to get the medications. No doctor ever said that to you?
Si tus doctores te decían que ibas a bajar peso o no te iban a ayudar a bajar de peso, quitarte el medicamento.
Sí me decían eso, pero a mí yo me daba mucha hambre, demasiada hambre. Pero cuando ya yo empecé a reaccionar, antes de empezar a comer cualquier comida que yo comía, yo me tomaba un vaso de agua antes de comer. Y eso fue cambiando mi vida.
No, pero estamos hablando antes.
Oh, no.
Estamos hablando de antes. So, antes que el doctor te estaba diciendo, ¿qué te decían los doctores si te estaban dando la oportunidad para decirte te voy a quitar este medicamento para que no seas diabética?
No.
So she's saying that the doctors never said that she was going to get off her medication. She was going to be on her medications for life.
The short life that they gave you for 3 years.
Correct.
So after the 3 years, what happened with the doctors? Did they say, hey, she's still alive after 3 years after we told her she won't be? Did they start giving you different regimes with your medications, or try to help you more with losing weight, or with telling you any kind of advice about exercise? Was any of that mentioned to you?
So después de los 3 años que te estaban diciendo que ya no ibas a vivir y que vas a estar con el diabetes, no te dijeron, porque ya seguiste de los 3 años todavía viviendo, ¿qué más te decían los doctores?
Que no entendían, que estaban sorprendidos porque yo, aparte del pie que me iban a cortar,
¿Y este fue cuando tenías 35 años, Lupe?
Sí.
Okay.
Y de repente ellos se fueron sorprendiendo, pero porque yo salía a caminar for 30 minutes or 40 minutes every day.
Después de los 3 años, 4
Uh-huh.
años.
Yeah.
So after like 3 to 4 years that she was still alive, she started walking, and that was helping her out.
And then you did it on your own recourse or through the encouragement of your doctors?
¿Tu doctor te decía que hicieras eso o tú
Yeah.
lo hiciste?
No, my doctor.
Because the doctors asked you to or suggested for you to do it?
Yes.
Okay, so you started walking.
Mhm.
And how much were you weighing at this time? You started off at 100. And how many pounds were you when you first got diagnosed with diabetes? Because diabetes is a fatty infiltration disease, so it's well known that overweight people are more prone to diabetes. So how much were you weighing when you were first diagnosed with diabetes? Do you remember?
¿Cuántos pesabas?
Cuando me diagnosticaron pesaba 286.
When you were diagnosed 25 years ago, you were 286 pounds.
Mhm.
And then you
And she's
remained,
only 4'11".
and she's less than 5 feet tall. And this is the problem with, I feel, is the problem with our healthcare system is that they give you cursory suggestions of what to eat and how to exercise. But the fact of the matter is that doctors don't take any courses in physiology, so they don't know anything about exercise unless they do their own research on exercise. As far as food, doctors only need one course, one nutritional class to be able to get their doctorate degree, and that's hardly enough to be able to suggest any kind of diet for diabetics. So they tell you to eat, the cursory stuff that your grandmother would tell you: eat vegetables, eat some meat. But they're also telling you to eat the very things that are bringing up your blood sugar levels. So when you eat, every time you eat, your insulin levels go up. So the first thing we need to know about diabetes is that diabetes is not a blood sugar problem. It's an insulin problem. And any doctor knows that insulin goes up way before blood sugar does, because our bodies are always trying to heal themselves. So our bodies have defense mechanisms to try to get the blood sugar level down. And everybody has been diagnosed with diabetes. Type 2 diabetes has been a diabetic, pre-diabetic for years before they were actually diagnosed as being diabetic with their doctors, because of the tests that our healthcare system uses. The fasting blood sugar test is the one that they usually use, sometimes the A1C, to diagnose type 2 diabetics. The A1C is a conglomerate of your blood cells, your red blood cells over the last 3 months, and your red blood cells are very sticky. So blood sugar sticks to them. So A1C is a much more reliable test than a fasting blood sugar test, which is just a snapshot of the here and now. So when you get the fasting blood sugar test that most people get during their annual checkup, at that very moment that they're taking a blood work is where your insulin level or where your blood sugar levels are. Now, you could be stressed at that time. Maybe you're thinking about work. Maybe you're thinking about an argument you had with your spouse, and your blood sugar levels are going to go up because of the biochemical reactions that your body goes through when you're in a stress mode. Or you can be completely relaxed and your blood sugar levels be lower than they normally are at that time. So the fasting blood sugar level test is, I think, is inferior. It needs to, if they're going to use it, it needs to be coupled with another test. A1C, C-peptide is what I would recommend. The A1C, a normal A1C is below 5.6. When you get to 5.6 to 6.4, you're a pre-diabetic. When you become 6.5 with the A1C, that's when you become a diabetic. And when you have 2 consecutive tests of an A1C, 6.5 and above, is when they diagnose you as being a diabetic. So this whole process has been going on for years and years before your diagnosis, and nobody catches it. The healthcare system doesn't catch it. So I feel it's inferior. Most people don't know this, so this is why we're here. We're trying to educate everyone a little bit more on this prediabetes, because diabetes is escalating, skyrocketing. It's getting worse and worse. It's not getting better. Our food supply is horrible. People are eating these processed foods that become sugar immediately. And the thing with carbohydrates, especially processed foods, is when you eat that, your insulin levels skyrocket and then they drop like a rock, which makes you feel hungry 2.5 hours later again. So then you eat more carbohydrates, shoots up your insulin level again, which drops like a rock after 2.5 hours. And then you start eating again 2.5 hours. So you have this roller coaster, like Lupe was saying. She was eating every 2 hours, every 2.5 hours, because of the carbohydrates that she was eating. It just makes you feel hungry because carbohydrates are a sugar already. So the body doesn't really have to process that. Whereas protein is very dense and it needs to be broken down. And it takes a lot of energy for your body to break down the protein. Your insulin levels go up less than about half as much as insulin does, but it stays, you feel satiated, you feel full for about 5 hours with 6 hours with protein. So you don't eat as much. The doctors aren't telling you that you should be eating more protein and more fat. They're encouraging you to eat more carbohydrates. And this is what I meant when I first opened up, that our healthcare system treats diabetes in a way that feeds your medications. So they're telling her to eat more carbohydrates so that she can stay on the medications. I feel, and this is my personal opinion, that our healthcare system does not want you to become healthier. This is a $466 billion industry in 1 year. They're not going to give that up. So if every type 2 diabetic knew that they can more than likely get off all their medications, become non-diabetic, our healthcare system would collapse. And that's not what they want. So there's a saying in this. It's a cartoon figure of a doctor with this patient, and it says, a cured patient is a lost customer. They don't want to cure you. They want to keep you on the medications. Pharmaceutical industry is horrible. They're greedy, and that's all they don't care about life. They take money over life any day. And these are my opinions, and the facts show more and more people are dying or becoming diabetic. They're getting sicker and sicker, is what I've seen with our group throughout the years. So Lupe is an example of 25 years of our healthcare system so-called treating her type 2 diabetes, and not just treating it, but now she's on more and more and more medications. She's depressed, and she's on the cusp of having to do dialysis because of the treatment that they were giving her. Mm-hmm. So let's go to, for 25 years of doing that, let's go to when you met me, which was, what year was that? That was 2019, 2020. Yeah, it was before COVID. So it was maybe 2018. 2018. So 2018, I started a more formal group of type 2 diabetics and helping them get healthier. And the reason why I got into it is because my adopted father was also diabetic. He was way overweight. And he wouldn't do anything I asked him to do. We lived maybe about 500 feet from his office, and he would drive the car from the house to the office, 500 feet. He didn't want to walk that. He ate ice cream for breakfast. Everything was horrible food. It was, I remember it was McDonald's Monday night for dinner. Tuesday night was Taco Bell. Wednesday night was Wendy's. We had processed food every single day. And that's how he grew up, and that's the way I was growing up. I didn't know any better than that. And in the end, later on in life, he continued to listen to his doctors. He wouldn't take any of my advice because doctors know better. And he was on his deathbed. He had one leg amputated. He was 95% blind. He was on dialysis for years. dialysis is horrible. So this was him listening to the doctors and treating diabetes. So this is the reason why I'm in this. So people like Lupe and other people in the group do a lot for me. So being able to help you guys, the help that I wasn't able to give my adoptive father, was really a gift to me too. So enough of emotional stuff. Let's go back to you.
Sorry. Understand. This, my mom, she's right now for diabetes. I don't know. She sent me, my heart is, I don't know. My heart is pain for my mom. She's right now for diabetes. And me, no. I talked to my mom this, no, son, please, I can haz caso en mi vida, cómo estoy yo. This, I don't know.
So she would tell her mom, like, listen to me, look what I'm doing. Try to do the same thing. Like, her mom's birthday's today. So she's missing her mom.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't intend for this show to be so emotional. Yeah, and the thing is that they say that diabetes, if other family members and you have diabetes, that you're more prone to it. And that could be the case, not because of genetics. Not everyone blames it on genetics. Genetics, what they've shown throughout research, is that genetics have between a 5 and 30% effect on your health. That means you have between 70 and 95% control of your health. It's epigenetics that are causing this issue. And that's epigenetics is your environmental signals. It's the food you eat. It's the stress levels you have. It's the amount of sleep when you sleep. It's the exercise that you do or don't do. These epigenetics, this is what's causing the diabetes, not genetics. Genetics is like having the gun, but it's loaded. It's not going to go off. It's the epigenetics that pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. So if people are more aware of their what they're putting into their mouth and what they're doing with their bodies and their stress levels, are they getting enough sleep? Also, your beliefs. Your beliefs are huge. I'm just getting more and more into how much power your brain, not your brain, but your conscious has. A person can actually get themselves sick just thinking about it because of what that does. It initiates your fight or flight response, stress levels. What that does is when you're stressed, your immune system goes down and it makes you susceptible to many of these diseases. So if you do that every day and you live in a stressful environment, your immune system is weakened and you become more prone to many of these chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, many of these other things, all because of your environmental signals. So that was the big thing with my group. I was very adamant that anybody that wanted to participate in this group, that they had to participate, they had to apply themselves, and they had to be determined to get themselves healthier. And Lupe is one of those people. She did what I asked. So why don't we go over when you met me and when I said that it's possible that you can become a non-diabetic and get off your medications. So why don't we talk about your first experience of our first class. In the class, what I did is I gave like a 25, 30-minute educational thing because you don't know what you don't know. People are not educated in this. So the big thing is educating the people on what foods do to you, what lack of exercise does for you, what stress does to you, what going to bed late at night and eating right before you go into bed, what all that stuff does to you and your hormones is what makes you sick or makes you healthy. So that's part of the program. The other part of the program is that we'd also exercise. So how did you feel the first time we had exercise? I didn't think you liked it very much, did you?
Oh, that's good.
It was okay.
It was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's good. It's okay.
Él está diciendo que cuando tú lo conociste primero, que cómo te sentiste la primera vez de tu primer hacer tu ejercicio, porque te estaba enseñando o educando cómo empezar el proceso.
Oh, para mí fue algo que Dios me puso en mi vida y fue un cambio total al conocerlo a Él, porque fue mi inspiración en educarme y en decirme, se lo agradezco por lo que sus palabras que Él me decía, no good, no. Y a través de eso me fue inspirando mi vida a salir adelante, y por Él y por las personas que tuve alrededor de mí, sentí un gran apoyo de seguir viviendo adelante, y mi vida fue un cambio total de que Él me inspiró mucho en ayudarme, en your inspiration for me, and you help me. En mi vida fue...
Did you get all that? Can you translate?
So she's grateful to God that he put you in her direction and that you were able to educate her, because you're a great inspiration to her. So she's truly grateful to you, and especially all the education. She was praying for something different, for something to come into her life so she can get better. And she started realizing that because you were more of the aspiration. ¿Y qué más dijiste?
Porque él me inspiró mucho, que yo sentía que él me metía presión a mi vida en ayudarme.
So you gave her that inspiration because you put that pressure in her life. So it was like you would tell her, no, you shouldn't be eating this. No, you shouldn't do that. But at the same time, it was a good turnout because you inspired her to do better so she can get off the medications.
Let's go to that. When you first started with the new regime with May, what were your doctors doing? What were they saying when you were starting to get healthier? When the first time you got off your first medication, when you started getting insulin units that you had to inject, when they started decreasing, what were your doctors saying to you? What were they asking you?
So, ¿qué te estaban diciendo tus doctores cuando empezaste con sus programas y te estaban quitando los medicamentos?
Ellos estaban sorprendidos que estaba haciendo, que quién me estaba ayudando.
So they were astonished with her progress and that who was helping her. ¿Y qué más?
Y que yo ya no necesitaba ese medicamento, y yo me sentía happy. For you help me. Every day mi vida fue cambiando, que a través de cada vez que me iban chequeando bajaba just down 4 pounds, 4 or 5 pounds, 3 months, and 3 or 4
So
months.
every time that she would go to a doctor, she started losing the weight and they started removing medications and they were just astonished with the progress that she was doing. So they were questioning her, like, who's helping you? What are you doing different, basically?
Were they still giving you advice of what you should be eating? They were still giving her advice.
So they would still give her, because with the diabetes or any diabetic, and this is what she's told me before, that she would have a nutritional class that she would have to do. So
On a weekly, but how often?
¿Cuántas veces hacías la clase esa con los doctores, con la nutricionista?
1 month.
Every month you had to take a class, and in that class they would just go over diet. They want to go over anything else.
Nomás hablaban de la dieta contigo en ese cada mes.
Sí, pero ves que le ponen a uno que prepare uno su platillo, y ya cuando ellos miraron mi forma de cambiar my food, there's fish, salmon, vegetables, no bread, no nothing, no tortilla, no nothing. Oh, wow.
They were
happened?
astonished because she started changing because of how you were teaching her how to do those foods.
That's good. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you help me. What happened? Oh, no. Just like down for 3 pounds, 4 pounds.
Yeah. Now, your family would also give you a hard time. And this takes a lot of willpower, especially when your family members are trying to get you to eat the foods that they eat, of which got you sick in the first place. And Jovi would tell me that your family members will give you a hard time for not eating their food. How did you, what made you tell them no and be insistent that you were not going to eat their food, that you were going to eat the kind of food that you wanted to eat with the salmon and the chicken and beef and saying off the tortillas and stuff? What kept you going of not conforming with the rest of the family?
So, ¿por qué cambiaste tu manera de comer? Porque tu familia te decía o te presionaba que comieras lo que ellos comían, y más cuando tú hacías las comidas.
No, yo cocinaba, pero yo hacía lo que él me decía, el festín, todo eso me fue cambiando mi manera de vivir.
¿Pero por qué? ¿Por qué tenías eso?
Mi ilusión era bajar de peso.
Her inspiration was to lose the weight. So she would do exactly what she would do. But her family, in her family, she has to cook for them. So the traditional Mexican foods, the rice, the beans, the meats, so the tortillas. But when she was preparing, she would prepare her own food separately because of what you were telling her to do for her health. Because she started noticing the medications were coming off, the weight was coming off. So she kept on doing that because that was her inspiration to lose the weight.
And that's what everyone needs to do, because this is no easy task. I know trying to change your habits, especially when it comes to food, is extremely difficult. And so you have to figure out a very strong why to keep you going. And that why is going to have to be reminded inside your mind every single time you want to go back to eating the burgers or the French fries, the tortillas, all that stuff. You have to have a strong why. And it sounds like Lupe was very determined, which is very unusual because most people are not that determined. They give in very easily and go back and say, hey, this isn't working fast enough. So Lupe realized that this is not going to happen overnight. She had a mindset of it taking a while for this to work, which eventually it did. And we live in an instant gratification society where everybody wants everything right now. And if I'm now no longer off all my medications tomorrow morning, then it's not working. And I'm going to go back. I might as well just keep doing what I'm doing. So, Lupe, we're winding down with time here. So I wanted to say thank you so much for giving us your experience of going from a diabetic and listening to the doctors and getting worse and worse with your health and not getting any better, and then trying a different ideology, different strategies that got you off the medications and becoming non-diabetic. Is there anything else you want to say?
¿Alguna otra cosa que quieres decir?
Pues, perdón. No más que nada darle las gracias por ayudarme a mí y estoy muy contenta de haberlo encontrado en mi vida porque mi vida fue diferente total y ahora más que nada todas mis amigas, amigos me ven y me dicen que soy diferente. A mi edad, acá en febrero, February 8, February 9, I mean for 60 years. Now, I mean, my friend, this, oh my God, no, just, I mean, and me, I looking different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. I mean, really, really happy for, in April 21, in my 4 months in the goal. This now my 154. Now April 21 in this 150.
And it keeps
Yes,
going down.
oh my God. My doctor just happy. He said, oh my God, this one more, yeah. This I get 1 more pound, 1 more pound. Yeah. Now doesn't it help me for you en mi vida? 3 years in the goal. This, I mean, mi vida era triste. Yo solo, I talked to Jovi. What happened, Christopher? What happened, Christopher? Del virus, this me nothing. My family, she's by die in June. She's by die for the virus. And my aunt, your husband, and my, I don't know, parte de mi familia.
So a lot of her family members passed away throughout this time frame that she's been working with you. So she's truly grateful for you and for everything that you've done, because even with COVID that happened, it didn't affect her and her body. Her body's been healthy, basically. And she's truly grateful for what you've done.
Well, thank you for coming over here and
No, you.
giving a story. So I just want to wrap things up here because I know we're running short on time. But thank you so much for joining us today. The main thing here is to educate type 2 diabetics that there is a cure out there. There is a way to get non-diabetic and get off your medications. It's very difficult to do. I would not go at it by yourself. I would absolutely work with your doctor. You are the coach. You are the quarterback of this team. Your doctor works for you. I hear it all the time that doctors will not get tests done that I ask for, so we can see how the pancreas is doing, how insulin is doing. So be adamant with your doctor. If you really want to get off the medications, you really want to become non-diabetic, not have to prick your fingers anymore, not have to worry about amputation, not have to worry about blindness, all these things dying. Type 2 diabetics, 75% of their deaths are because of heart attacks. That's huge. So, and I know that a lot of diabetics are always concerned about these things, so it doesn't have to be this way. There's a different way. So just reach out if you like. We'll be back here soon, back at 11 o'clock on Sunday, hopefully next week. And I look forward to speaking to everybody then. Thank you for joining us.